Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Hollowitz and thank you for being here for our PowerPoint presentation. In this tutorial I want to talk to you about editing content. Now there's a couple different ways you can edit content, so I want to illustrate those. What we see first on our screen is our very first slide called Making a PB&J, Peanut Butter and Jelly. And in the bottom of the slide, or not the bottom but right below this, we have my name, Tony Hollowitz. Well, let's say that I didn't want to use Tony Hollowitz. I want to use my proper full name. I'm going to come up here on the top left and I'm going to literally highlight the name Tony and I'm going to type in Anthony, and you're going to see this is changing it on the slide as well. Anthony J. Hollowitz. Well, that's one way we can edit it. But let's say I came back and said, you know what, that sounds a little too formal. Let's take a look at working on the slide. Well, what I did is I clicked on my name, and what it brought up on the window or on the slide is what is called the text box. And a text box is something we describe in our Microsoft Word training, and I'll just briefly tell you what this is. A text box is a box that allows you to put information in it, such as type, like my name. But the advantage of a text box is that a text box is something I can move around the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my name back, and again, now I'm editing that information on the slide in the text box. And I'm just going to click away from that and you'll see the text box will go away, that little box that popped up. So now if I come back and click near my name, the text box comes back up. And what I want to illustrate is if I bring my pointer over to the side of the text box, any of the line, if I click and hold, I can drag and move this text box elsewhere. So this is the great thing about a text box. It's a great way to enter text on either a Word document or a slide and be able to sort of move it around free-flowing, free form. I'm going to click undo, just like in Word, to undo the last few steps because I want it back where it was. So a text box is important to know about because you can manipulate it. You can make it bigger and smaller as well. If I come up here and I decide I want to edit the title, if I click up near the title, you'll see we have another text box that you can work in to edit the title. Now, the text size is, and the best way to see this is if you just select some text, then go up to the left, you'll see this is Arial Narrow 66. And here we're going to get into, just for a moment, the issues you confront when doing a presentation. Obviously, this is very easy to read, but try to imagine you're in a presentation hall and you're sitting way in the back. Are you going to be able to read that if it's presented up on a screen using a projector? And yeah, what you can do is you can take your computer, hook it up to a projector, and run your PowerPoint presentation through the projector and have it project up on a screen. So really, there's a couple steps there. You need to be able to know how to hook it up to the projector. Let's assume for the discussion today that you've had that done for you. You know how to do that. And two is you need to know how to run the presentation, because whatever you run on your computer will show up through the projector and project up onto the screen. Had a mental block there on the name of projector. So I'm going to assume you know how to do that. I'm going to assume that what you need to do right now is just get the content into your presentation. So again, if we come up, we can edit this. We can change the size, the colors. If I want to change the color, I can click on the capital A. Let's choose a different color just so you can see that. And now I've changed that. What I will show you coming up in the not too distant future is how to change the way the actual slide design looks. So there are all these things you can do, but see, remember I told you one of the key components here is how much time do you have when working with your presentation. You know what? That color of white that I had would have been sufficient. I could have gotten away with that. However, if you have time and you have a decent amount of time, you can go in and you can then start changing things, colors, styles, all that stuff. But my advice to you is get the primary presentation done first, save it, and let me show you how we'll save it. I'm going to go up and click on File, and I'm going to click on Save, and just like Microsoft Word, this dialog box will pop up. I'm going to call it Making a PB&J, and it took the heading from the first slide, and I'm going to just put in -A. PowerPoint presentation is PPT as an extension. I'm going to click Save, and we've saved it in the My Documents folder. You'll know that we've saved it because if you look up here on the top bar, what's called the title bar, the blue bar, there's my title right there. So we've saved it. So again, go in and get all your content done. Get the presentation done to the point where if someone came to you right now and said, hey, I need you to give that presentation in 5 minutes, you could do it because the content is done. It might not be state of the art, it might not be the nicest, but you're going to be able to make your point. And that is the key. If you have the time after you have your primary presentation done, come up, do a file, do a save as, and give it a different name, like Making a PB&J with more editing or something of that nature. Give it a unique name so you can go in and edit that one and have fun or play around with that one, do all kinds of creative things that are time consuming, but you'll still have your original presentation intact should you need it. So when you go in, you can edit your presentation either over here on the left hand side, or you can edit it right on the slide by clicking in the text box. What I want you to observe is the size of your text is going to depend on how much room you have on the slide, how many bullet points you want to make, and we'll talk about that in a couple seconds. So you have to fit everything into the slide. You can't put a long description. They're primarily bullet points that you're going to expound on. The reason I mention that is because you might put these bullet points in and say, hey, when I talk about the purpose of the discussion, I want to mention Amendment 13. And again, I'm just sort of making up things here, but you want to put Amendment 13 there so that you can see that, and it'll be a reminder if you've got to talk about that when this slide comes up on the screen. So edit text is very easy to do, but you've got to remember that you're going to run out of room if you make things too big because you have limited size dimensions on a slide. When you go to do your outline for PowerPoint, take a piece of paper 8.5 by 11, turn it sideways, and try to think of that as the slide. So in other words, you can't fit everything in there that you want. This particular design and style really limits us. You'll notice we have a lot of space over here that we could work with, but this particular layout and design doesn't allow us to do that. If you do a lot of presentations, ultimately what you want to really be doing for your company or for yourself is creating a template that really takes into account all of these issues, size, dimensions, how much you like to put on a slide, and that way you can use that template over and over again to create your presentations. It takes a lot of the design work out of the process. You probably won't understand the reason for a template until you get into this a little bit and start working with it, but then you'll want to maybe at some point say, hey, let's take one of the presentations I did and use this as a basis for a template. So again, when you get in, you're going to work in text boxes to go in and edit. If you're not comfortable with text boxes, come edit it over here. After I have the option to identify myself, right here on the left hand side, if I hit enter, it puts in a new bullet point and it allows me to type in over to the left so that I don't have to be comfortable with text boxes over here. So I typed in CEO. Again, if I hit enter, go down one, and I'm just typing in some random stuff, my name, hit enter, and go down and go further and further. But remember, you only have so many pieces of information you can fit in here because you'll go off the slide. My name is Tony Holowitz. When we come back, we'll take a look at this presentation in a little more detail, take a look at some of the other things you can do with a slide besides entering text. We'll take a look at entering or inserting a picture into our slide. My name is Tony Holowitz. Thank you very much for being here.